Hi gamers, Coach Nate here, and this is my last workout of Season 1, building off of everything up to this point. Now, in today's workout, we will begin learning and practicing how to do a basic sight retake, which involves a combination of skills and tricks. Now, let's get into the workout. For today's warm-up, play one swift play and choose any agent of your liking. When on defense, practice playing for retake. Make sure to not go too fast or too slow on your respective agent, while trying to maximize the positioning of your utility. First, let's break down the stages of a sight retake. When playing retake on a site, there are a few decisions you have to make on how you are going to execute your retake. Do you want to flood retake or do a more traditional planned retake? Now, what is a flood retake, you might be asking? A flood retake is when you start your retake as soon as the enemy taps the spike to plant it. This means that the enemy won't be perfectly set up, but neither will your team. This involves the first 3 players on your team running in and using their utility to retake, whilst the rotators are throwing utility to support ASAP while they are attempting to retake. Now that we have covered what a flood retake is and how to do one, it's time to cover the more traditional retake, which I like to think of as more of a chess match. A more traditional retake involves your team layering their utility to clear and cut angles, very similar to how you would do so on a site execution. Except, the enemy will be using their utility to try and stop that push. So it's a game of cat and mouse, trying to bait out some of the biggest stopping power abilities on the other team, like Astra's Gravity Well or Breach's Aftershock, before your team uses all of their abilities. Of course, agents like Jet can be sent in first with their dash and used to create chaos and buy time for the rest of your teammate to either rotate or flood into sight. Organized chaos is the goal when retaking sites, as it will give you the best chance at success. Ultimates are probably your most powerful tool when retaking a site, so planning around them is equally as important as deciding on what pace you are retaking a site at. Powerful ults like KJ, Breach, and others that control a lot of space are strong tools to use when on retake, but it's also important to know how to play around them. For KJ's ult, it's important to be patient, but with others, it's important to scale into sight and trade. If you have a teammate running in front of you, make sure you are holding angles they can't while still pushing forwards. You don't want to be stagnant. The other important thing to remember is to check if the other team is playing for a post-plant ult or post-plant lineups. And if you do think the enemy is playing for lineups or ults, try and speed up your retake or have a different game plan on how to counter. Now, I want you guys to play 2 ranked games with a duo and work on retaking sites together as a team. Of course, in ranked, it will be difficult to fully coordinate your team, so focus on what you can do together and the different combinations you guys can do between your own utility. Keep in mind, much like executions, there's 1,000,001 different combinations of utility you can throw, and utility that can be then used to counter the retake. So being adaptable and thinking on the fly will be your most important skill. The more you play, the better you will get at retake. Much like executing on site, layering your utility is equally as important. If you don't properly layer your utility, your retake will have no punch behind it. Retake is a balance between using all your retake abilities at once, while also not using too many if you haven't baited out enough utility. But at the end of the day, when in doubt, gun out and frag out as a team. Now that you know the basics of retakes, it's time to become the defensive masterminds that everyone fears. And with that, it ends my Season 1 of workouts. If you haven't watched the rest of my workouts from Season 1, be sure to do so on the Games Gym app. And stay tuned for Season 2 starting on September 1st.